Have you heard of cultural properties called cultural landscapes? In this video, you'll learn what cultural landscapes are and what they're like. Please also watch Cultural Landscape Protection System and Regional Development Using Cultural Landscapes. Cultural landscapes are living landscapes created over the years within the diverse climate and nature of the Japanese archipelago by people interacting with their local natural environment in making their livings and leading their lives. Examples include pastures and riverside reed beds maintained through heather burning, as well as houses protected by windbreaks, and villages protected by trees and coastal forests. Let's take a closer look at terraced rice and crop fields. In Japan, with its long history of rice farming, rice paddies were created in small, gently sloping valleys with easy access to water, while slopes with worse access to water were used for raising crops. In the Edo period, as agricultural civil engineering technology developed and larger water channels were built, terraced rice paddies were built along the mountain's side. In addition, with the spread of sweet potatoes and the planting of mulberries for silkworm culture, terraced fields spread throughout the country. Breaking ground on rice paddies and crop fields on hillside slopes also requires stonemasonry skills. Many terraced rice paddies and crop fields are made with stone walls retaining a steep slope, showing how techniques developed. As the population grew through the early Showa period in the 1920s, each region built up various types of terraced rice and crop fields and created their own distinctive landscapes. These include rice terraces with high stone walls, crop terraces stretching across steep slopes that drop off into the sea, and more. Many of these stone walls were constructed by farmers together with stonemasons during the off-season period. Rice terraces are surrounded by satoyama, which consist of protected woodland for water resource conservation, and grasslands, whose grasses are used for cultivating arable land. People use these woodlands to cut firewood for fuel, to pick wild plants, nuts, and mushrooms to eat, and to harvest bamboo, lumber, and tree bark for everyday articles and building materials. Further up the mountains, the residents intentionally left the natural forests untouched. This would suggest that they knew from experience that fallen leaves accumulate to make nutrient-rich soil that would flow down the river to enrich fields in the watershed and the seas. Living with both the blessings and threats of nature, they practiced rituals to pray for and give thanks for abundant crops and catches, for safety in life and out at sea, as well as customs to commemorate livestock like oxen and horses, and beneficial insects like silkworms. In this way, the rice and crop terraces, mountain forests, rivers, and oceans all integrated into one cultural landscape that tells the story of how a people have interacted with nature, both in whole and in part. In Hokkaido, landscapes are inherited because it is thought to express the natural values of the Ainu people, who believe the gods dwell in all things in nature and offered prayers to them. Cultural landscapes also include landscapes related to traditional industries such as ceramics, tea, and cormorant fishing, ports, merchant towns, and temple towns that have developed alongside transportation networks brought about by their geographical features such as channels and rivers. Some tell the story of mining, with agricultural communities that were developed by digging waterways to collect iron and gold dust, while leveling mountains to cultivate farmland. and others trace their history as commercial and residential areas while still retaining the vestiges and air of a mining city. In towns where waterways freely run, some landscapes have washing stations with a system for sharing the abundant groundwater for domestic use, while others have flood control measures in preparation for natural disasters. Some castle towns built in the Edo period have become well known for their water provision systems visible throughout the city. The water in these castle towns supported the development of industry that stands to this day. Cultural landscapes are essential to understanding how agriculture, forestry, and fisheries operated, how natural resources were used, how villages and towns developed, how the transport of people and goods flourished, and how culture and industry developed in the various regions across the Japanese archipelago. This understanding is also the foundation for how we should think about the future development of the region in harmony with the environment. However, as memories fade, this history of livelihood is in danger of disappearing before being recorded in history. Further, this history is rapidly declining with socioeconomic changes, diversifying values, an aging population with fewer children, and declining populations. For this reason, the law for the protection of cultural properties has established a system to select important cultural landscapes based on the request of local governments and support efforts to protect these cultural landscapes. Cultural landscapes are both local and national treasures. By enjoying and cherishing them in our daily lives and looking to extol their virtues for posterity, the brilliance of these landscapes grows brighter every day. Their character is unique and was not made overnight. Many of the landscapes we view casually every day are cultural landscapes, showing the beauty of each season. Be sure to explore your region for local cultural landscapes. And please visit important cultural landscapes across the country.